Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a few weeks, I apologize. I've been super busy, ton of guide trips, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you guys will get to know very shortly. So yeah, I've just been super busy, so I apologize, but we are back in front of the camera going over some very key baits to be using this time of year. Obviously, we all know last weekend was the Wisconsin fishing opener, and there's a few baits that I want to talk to you guys about today that I pretty much use from here until August. So pretty much the next 5 months, this is what I'm going to be using pretty much everywhere. And I want to just go over a couple baits that you guys can use as well to catch so many different types of fish pretty much all season long without having to go to the store and buy, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of baits, buying a bunch of rods, buying a bunch of reels, buying a bunch of line. You can go to the store, you can buy just a couple key baits that will catch you some fish pretty much wherever you are located in the States. So let's jump right into the first bait. The first bait that I want to go over with you guys is going to be a Keitech swim bait and jig head pairing. These are an absolute go-to for me. This is a staple that I use pretty much all the time. If I go to a lake and I've never fished it before, I'm gonna throw a Keitech swim bait with the jig head. If I'm going to a lake fishing for walleyes in deeper water, I'm going to throw a Keitech swim bait and a jig head. It is just a super versatile, super simple bait. Obviously it imitates a bait fish. Every single fish in a lake eats a bait fish pretty much. So that is why these baits are killer. And it is just a super simple technique. Especially now with live scope, it's super easy to pinpoint cast and sharp shoot these fish with a jig head and a swim bait. If you see a walleye on live scope, boom, you're casting to it. Bait's sinking down. You can reel it right past the fish, get their attention, and they'll think it's just a minnow swimming right by their face. They're gonna eat it. So it's just a super easy technique and very effective. So this is it's just something that I use religiously. You'll see in a lot of videos coming up that this is the bait I'm going to be using, and I pretty much swap between a 2.8 and a 3.3 inch Keitech swim bait. I try to go with a very realistic color, you know, something like this is the Pro Shiner, Blue Shiner, this is the Electric Shad, you know, so something very basic and you know, just a very common forage based color is what I like to use. As far as the jig heads go, I'm using a 1/4 ounce probably 90% of the time. If I'm going for crappies or something smaller, you know, and I'll use the 2.8, then I'll use, you know, maybe like an 1/8 ounce jig head or something like that. If I'm going for something a little bigger, if I'm fishing deeper water, I'll use the 1/4 ounce, maybe up to a 3/8, and maybe a 1/2 ounce if I really need to get down somewhere. But just a super simple, effective bait. You know, these are $5. Pack of these is $6. So right here, you're in for about $10. You get 8 swim baits and you get 4 jig heads. That's gonna, you know, that's gonna catch you a lot of fish for $10. Not bad. The whole main reason I wanted to make this video is to highlight the baits that I really enjoy using, and then I also wanted to just show that you guys don't have to go buy, you know, the whole shelf at Cabela's to try to catch a fish this spring or summer or even in the fall. You can just use a very simple technique, go buy very limited amounts of baits, or at least, you know, limit your options and just consume or buy a bunch of the same bait, just to kind of eliminate the hassle factor or even eliminate the questioning factor when you're out on your boat or even fishing from shore. You know, when you get out there and you're like, okay, what am I going to throw? Sometimes that can be a complicated question, and then you'll take 5 casts with something, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's not going to work, let me go to this bait. You'll take 5 casts, oh yeah, no, I got to switch, you know. So you're going to be kind of going back and forth, not capitalizing your time out on the water and being as effective as you can. So in order to be effective as you can, stick with one bait. That's going to work. I promise you, if you pick up some Keitechs and you pick up some jig heads, I use the Moon Eye jigs. These will catch you a bunch of fish. And I just want to preface right now that I'm not getting paid to say any of this. This is all just like what I use, and I just wanted to relay that to you guys so you guys know what I'm using in the videos coming up, so you guys can go grab exactly what I have here. So I will leave a link down below of everything I use that I talk about in this video. Next bait I want to get into is going to be a jerk bait. This is a Rapala Maverick 110. This is about a $20 jerk bait. Do you have to spend $20 on a jerk bait? No. Do they work well? Yes. So these baits are really nice. You know, Vision 110s, you can get a Janko jerk bait, you can get I don't know, there's a bunch of different jerk baits from like $2 to $40. So you can kind of go wherever on the spectrum you want to with a jerk bait, but the second bait in general is going to be a jerk bait. A jerk bait you can fish super effectively in shallow water. You know, that 5 to 10 foot range can be effective too. And again, it catches everything. If you're going to go up shallow for bass and you want to throw a jerk bait, you're going to catch a fish. If you want to go up shallow around docks and just throw jerk baits in general, not knowing what you're going to catch, you'll probably end up catching a bass, a pike, maybe a walleye depending on the lake. Crappies will eat jerk baits. I've caught bluegill on jerk baits, and that goes with the jig head and Keitech pairing as well. You can throw that around a dock. You can catch bass, you can catch pike, you can catch walleyes, you can catch crappies. I've never really caught a bluegill on a swim bait because it's probably a little too big, but not saying it's impossible. But my point is, you can go around to different lakes not knowing even what's in the lake or what you're going to catch, not having expectations of what you're going to catch. You're probably still going to end up catching fish if you're using a couple of these baits. Jerk baits can be super versatile just for covering water. You know, you can change your cadence up. Obviously, when the water is colder in the spring, obviously a slower cadence is going to be your friend. In the summer, when the water is really warm and you're going for bass, you know, a quicker cadence might do you some justice and catch you some more fish. So there's a lot of different ways you can fish a jerk bait. There's a lot of different ways you can fish a swim bait. I want to get into the third and final bait. That is going to be a square bill KVD 1.0 crankbait. And what I like about the 1.0 is it's a very small presentation. It doesn't rule out the big fish. It doesn't rule out the small fish. You can still catch fish anywhere on the size spectrum, whether that's a bluegill, crappie, bass, walleye, pike, muskie. I mean, you can catch anything on a small little crankbait because, like I said before, every fish in the lake is basing their forage off of something that swims, right? They are eating stuff that swims most of the time, whether, you know, sometimes they might eat worms, they might eat, you know, crawdads depending on the lake, but regardless, something that swims, something that's moving in the water is what fish are eating. A crankbait is a super versatile bait that will allow you to catch a lot of different types of fish, and like I said, the 1.0 doesn't rule out any size fish. So if you just want to go have some fun and you want to go cast 10 feet of weeds, you want to go cast around docks, you want to go cast a rock shelf, you want to go cast a sand flat, mud flat, whatever you want to go cast at, if you throw a crankbait, if there's fish around, you're probably going to get bit. So this is definitely, you know, the third and final key bait to my arsenal. And obviously this isn't what I have in the boat 100% of the time. Well, I always have it in the boat, but this isn't what I'm using 100% of the time. But I'd say 99% of the time, if you guys want to go out and catch fish, if you have these three baits, you will catch fish. I have always had good luck with the Keitechs and the jig heads. That is a $10, $11 pairing roughly. Jerk bait anywhere from $5 to $40, ball on a budget, or just go ball, whatever you want to do. You can spend money or you can not spend money on jerk baits. You know, we'll just say 10 bucks right in the middle. This is 20 bucks. So 10 bucks, and we'll say the KVD is $5. So for $25, you can pretty much go out a pairing of about 10 different baits here. You get a jerk bait and you get a square bill. Obviously, you're probably going to want a couple of each in case you're catching fish and you break off. You know, shit happens. And the biggest thing is not having too many options. As soon as you know, if you're new into fishing, and that's part of the reason I'm making this video, if you're kind of getting into fishing and you want to, you know, really start catching a lot more fish in the spring and summer, you don't need a lot of baits. You just need a very few select baits. These will help. But I mean, even if you can just narrow down your tackle box to like 5 baits, instead of having, you know, 50 different baits, whether you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 tackle boxes, whatever you have, if you can just narrow down your basis of what you're using, you will catch a lot more fish. When you take out the question factor and you take out the, oh, what is this fish going to bite on this day? And, you know, once you eliminate all the questions out of your mind on what you're going to be throwing, you will catch more fish. So I wanted to make this video to basically narrow it down. Like, I promise you, when I start putting out some more videos here in the spring and summer, you will notice I'm using these 3 baits probably 95% of the time. That's just how it works. I'm not saying this is going to guarantee a fish catch every single time, but it is, you know, a very, very good basis to start off with, and just, you know, fill your tackle box with something you know that's going to work. This is going to work. I want to jump into the rod and reel portion because that is another thing that people kind of get hung up on. You know, you don't need 10 rods, you don't need 10 reels, you don't need, you know, 10 different types of line, you don't need 100 different types of leaders, you don't need 100 types of baits, and you could honestly get away with one single rod outfit. for most fishing applications. So I want to show you guys the rod that I use pretty much the majority of the time. All right, so here is the rod setup, and this wasn't even planned. I actually have a 1/4 ounce jig head with a 3.3 Keitech on here. So clearly it's been used before, but this is a 7'6" medium light St. Croix Icon. Super nice rod, super flexible tip, stiff backbone. But if you just want to go out and you want to get one rod, you know, get a 7-foot medium, get a 7'6" medium light if you can get 2 rods, and you will be able to do so many types of fishing with just those 2 rods, or even just the one. On there, I have a Carbon X2 2000 Piscifun reel on here. 10-pound braid down to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. An 8-pound fluorocarbon leader is probably my most standard. If it's clear, if it's like a super muddy lake or something super dirty, I'll use 10 or 12, you know, obviously depending on what I'm going for. But most of the time you can get away with 8-pound fluorocarbon, 10-pound braid, and a 7-foot or 7'6" medium or medium light action rod, and you will catch so many fish this spring and summer. Again, the main reason I wanted to make this video is strictly to just kind of showcase that you don't need a bunch of baits, you don't need a bunch of rods, you don't need to go spend your entire bank account on tackle. You can really get down to the bare bones, and if you still want to have a good time, you can still catch fish. There's obviously, you know, certain times and certain baits and certain rods and certain reels that may shine better for certain aspects of fishing. But for the grand scheme of things, if you just want to go out to either a new lake or a lake that you know has, you know, bass, walleye, whatever, if you want to go out and you just want to catch some fish, grab a basic 7-footer, medium light action. Grab a nice light reel. These Carbon X's are super awesome. I use these on all of my rods. 10-pound braid, 8-pound fluorocarbon, couple baits, and you will catch fish. So that is going to do it for today's video. I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys are able to take, you know, something you learned from this video and implement it into your fishing this spring, summer, and even fall, and years to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave me a like down below. Leave me a comment if any of these 3 baits are part of your top 3 arsenal, because these are 100% going to be my top 3, and I'm curious to see, you know, leave me a comment. Let me know what your guys' top 3 are. If you had to choose 3 baits to fish with all spring and summer long, let me know what your 3 baits would be. These would be my 3 baits. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave me a like, hit that subscribe button if you are new, and I will see you guys back on the water very soon. Peace.